All right. Well, let's jump in at least a minute early here to make sure that everything is working and that audio sounds okay. Video looks all right. I mean, other than you got to look at this, but video seems to be working. I want to make sure audio sounds okay for you guys. I hope it does. Just no audio. Really? Are you sure? Because I'm seeing audio here in the app. Okay. All right. Cool. Sorry, I'm looking over here because I'm waiting for ground control to catch up, and it finally did. So, all right, audio is fine. Audio is good. Audio is good on YouTube. Perfect. If it's good on YouTube, it should be good on Twitch because I'm using the same software to do both. So, yeah, no, thanks for hanging out with me today. If at any point during this stream if you're on YouTube anyway, you want to hit the like button, that'd be cool. If you want to subscribe or whatever, that'd be awesome. If you want to follow me on Twitch, even if you don't ever go there, that'd be neat. Just bump those numbers for whatever reason. Savag says, "How are you doing?" I'm good, thanks. Just kind of hanging out on the weekend, and I've had some good emails and meetings this week about some fun content that's coming up here real soon. Of course, as I say that, I can hear the wife telling the kid to chill out, so that's fun. Apparently he is just being really, really, really unnecessarily needy today. Like, huh. So I'm gonna keep a little bit of an eye on him, just to make sure that nothing too terrible happens. Apologize for bumping that. He's watching his show. He's pretty spun up. But anyway, so yeah, had some good emails and meetings this week with a couple of different places, different developers, different organizations, whatever you want to call them. So I'm pretty excited about all of that. Some fun stuff coming up for content here very soon that I hope you guys are going to dig. Actually, like 5 minutes ago, I got a delivery for that. That's going to be fun. That's got 16 gigs of VRAM on it. It's secondhand. But I think it's going to be a fun project. I'm excited about that. Um, but yeah, so I'm just making sure everything here still looks and sounds okay. Kudu says, "Hi, glad I could catch the stream at the beginning. That's awesome. Really glad to have you here. Really appreciate everybody who is here and who will join throughout. We're gonna talk a little bit about an app that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but for different reasons didn't feel like it was the right time. And I think we're close enough that we can start talking about Papra. And that's kind of obviously, you saw that in the title and the thumbnail, depending on where you're catching this. If we just jump over real quick, we'll just do a little sneak peek on this, and then we'll come back and see where things are. So basically, Papra is built by Corentin Thomasette. I'm sure I screwed that up, dude. I apologize. French isn't even really on my radar as far as languages that I'm even moderately decent with. So if you're not familiar, this is the same developer who did IT Tools, who did Enclosed, and a bunch of other stuff that we may have taken a look at over the past several months or last couple of years. So super excited that he's got a new project, this Papra app here that we're going to take a look at. Kind of good pronunciation. I'll take it. I appreciate that. Alexia says hello to everyone and me. Appreciate you being here, Alexia. Let me make sure. I feel like I missed something a little higher up. Let's see. Let's see. I feel like, hey, brother, now that Coodalicious is here, it's going to be wild. um, so yeah, so this is Papra. This is, like it says here, it's an open source solution to document chaos. And that's one of the issues I've always had, is like storing documents. I just rely on my email to store everything for documents, which I know which I know is dumb. But this will help me fix that a little bit, because there's a lot of different things that we can do with Papra, that I think people will appreciate. Think of this like paperless or paperless NGX. I think it's NGX anyway. You can kind of think of it like that, but different, right? Um, Obviously, it's a different platform, it's different developers, all of that. Um, um, and I've had it up and running for a little bit, and I really, really dig what is being done with this app. Quarantine reached out to me. I apologize if you're getting an ad over on Twitch. I apologize. It's gonna last like 3 minutes. Anyway, so the idea, so Quarantine reached out to me a couple of months ago, I think, to let me know that he was working on this new project, and we chatted a bit, kind of back and forth, and we've been chatting kind of since then about this project. And there it's I really dig, or even back then I really dug the idea of what was going on, but like I said, there were just features that weren't there that I knew were coming, and I didn't want to kind of put the cart before the horse and make a video where there were a bunch of upcoming features that were going to make this extra super usable compared to where it was at the time. And that's kind of why I've been putting this off, because just very recently, the features that have been needed, I think, have been added, to make this very usable, even in its current state, despite there being more features coming very soon. Um, Whew, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, because there's a lot of letters in that name. I'm going to call you Klein. Thanks for joining. Uh, Too many letters for my brain to try to deal with right now. Glad to have you here, though. Um, so yeah. Anyway, so this Papra app, like I said, I've been talking to Quarantine about this for a couple of months as he's been building it. We've been chatting back and forth, and as I run into things, I've been like, hey, what about this or what about that? And nearly every time I've had one of those, he's like, oh yeah, no, it's already being worked on. We're already attacking that. So it was kind of neat to get to be a little bit behind the scenes on the development of the app. No way contributing anything other than my thoughts that were already being addressed. That said, there was one section here that I did contribute to a little bit with ideas, and we'll get to that. But Blitz and Sveg, appreciate you being here. Um, so basically, here's the idea, right? This is, like I said, it's a way to store and organize your documents, whether you're taking pictures of them, whether you're scanning them, whether you're uploading them manually. You can email them to yourself. Like, there's a lot of different ways to get the documents into this system, and we'll talk about a couple of those as we go. I'll demonstrate some of that as we go. But here you can kind of see what the interface looks like at the time of taking a look at it right now. We've got some features here. It says manage your documents with ease. Papra offers a range of features to help you organize, search, and access your documents effortlessly. And I can testify to that. While I'm not actually using it in production yet, the testing that I've done with it really has. Sorry, I was just listening. It's been super, super easy to use. So like it says here, all of your documents in one place. Search and find documents easily. Email ingestion. We'll talk a little bit about that, just because couple of there are a couple of different ways that you can use email ingestion, but both of them require, at least right now, a third-party solution to do that. Though one of those third-party solutions was also built by Quarantine. Take that as you will. Again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And we've also got document tagging, which is great. And there's some other stuff coming up with document tagging that we'll cover here in a little bit. So we've got a testimonial here, trusted by home startups and enterprises of all sizes. So The one thing that I do want to mention right now is that you can self-host this, like we're going to talk about today. Or if you don't want to self-host it, you can actually use the hosted service, and you can you can join them, or so the managed service, where you would contribute everything to Quarantine's server here. So we're just going to delve into the self-hosted version of this, just so that we can kind of get an idea of how this works. I've got two different instances of this up and running. Um, I just want to see. Okay, this is the one we're going to take a look at. This is actually stored um, on my Synology back here, and as a result of that, I had to take a different approach to installing it because of Synology and Synology's permissions. Um, so we'll come back to the installation here in a little bit. Let's see if I can find my instance. Here we go. This is it right here. Cool. So here we can see a bunch of dummy data that I have uploaded a couple of different ways. And here we can see the name, what kind of file it is, which is great. Again, the name, the size, the extension, when it was uploaded, tags, if you've got tags on there, when it was created, and then you've got actions over here for document details, rename the document or delete the document. If you delete the document, there is a deleted documents section here. So it will get stored here for 30 days and then it will get deleted unless you either restore it or delete it. So, so just a quick run through on that. If we start up here at the top left, which is where we really should have started, but this was in my vision, so that's what we went with. And I'm pointing at my screen like you can see that. This section was in my vision when I started talking about it. So top left, we've got our logo, our icon here. We've got organizations here. I've only got one organization, but you can add more if you want to. Then we've also got some social stuff for GitHub and Blue Sky, for those different accounts. Again, we've got home, we've got documents, we've got tags, we've got tagging rules. So if you wanted to create a new rule and say, sample, for example, not to rhyme there on purpose, you can give it a description if you want to. You can add conditions when the document name or the document content. Let me zoom in a little bit on that. When the document name or the document content contains, equals, starts with, ends with, whatever, you can then, say, let's say just sample, right? And then we can add tags. We'll just call it sample2, right? And create a rule. Because I've already got it, the name of this, we'll call it sample2. Let's try that. Nope, because I've already got sample in there. Okay. Which is weird. Oops, which is weird. Where did it go? Was it right there? No, it was right there. Tags. Okay. Interesting. I don't know why it didn't let me create that tag. That was weird. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, because I'm trying to, never mind. Because I need to do that. Sample, add condition, document name contains sample, create rule. There it goes. I was just being dumb. All right, if you, I'm sorry, I'm going to come back up here and read a question. If you install and point your current directory, will this program move the files or just index them where they are? That's a good question. That depends on how you build your Docker Compose. And in fact, I think, hold on, I've actually got something over here where it should make it a little easier. Okay, so where did it go? True. Suggestion folder, SMTP. Oh, I don't remember where it went. SMTP, registration false. Oh, here it is. Ingestion folder post-processing strategy. If you point it to an existing folder that you've already got, it will it will move them to wherever you've got your ingestion folders set up down in the app data, right? I apologize for that, for misspeaking there. So if you set your ingestion folder here, right, at the, where I've got it here currently at the bottom, it will then move them to this folder and give them a different name. It will give us a jumbled up name. And honestly, I don't like that, but I kind of get why it happens. Now, that said, I can demonstrate this, right? Like, so I've got, this is my ingestion folder. I've got scans, Papra, and I've got this organization. We can talk about organizations later. So if I take a folder, sorry, if I take a file, right, just to demonstrate this real quick, because that's a really good question. Right, so I've got, these are just 3 demos that I pulled from Google, right? I'm just gonna drop that over there. And here it says you've got a good script segment for sections 1 and 5. And there you go, Quarantine's answering that as well, right? So if I refresh this, it's gone. And if we come over to configs and we go to Papra and app data and documents and org and originals, here we can see that it's copied it in there. If I can, right there, this right here is that document that it's been renamed. However, if we come back over here to our scans folder and into Papra and into org and then ingestion done, there's also a copy of it here with all of the original names intact. If you don't put, where is it? This ingest folder post-processing strategy to move, it will just remove everything from that folder and copy it over to the app data documents folder that's in that's right here. I'm really glad that this line is available because it was really frustrating to me to see that it was indexed and then deleted from that folder, and I didn't have an original copy with the original name because, again, using or trying to come into here and find the document, you're never going to find it because it's been renamed. So I was really glad to find that other option. So yeah, no, that was a great question, Lee. I'm really glad you asked it because I may have forgotten. And Collins brings up a valid point of renaming docs is very common. I've run into that with other systems like this that I've used. So that was definitely something that I was glad there was an option to just move the file into a subfolder of the ingest folder to keep the original file name. Now, the catch to that is if you do that, you're going to have duplicate files. So your files are going to take up twice as much space. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Oh, Colin says, I spent a number, hold on. Yep. Mandy says, is it also possible to copy the doc while keeping it at the original place? To my knowledge, no. The only thing that it can do is obviously copy it into the configuration folder for the documents, or move it into this, copy it into this ingestion done folder. Currently, to my knowledge, there is no way to index it and keep it where it is, though. Quarantine did say there is no in-place indexing for existing directories yet. So that may change. Again, something else to keep in mind with this as we're kind of going through some of this. I just updated this morning to the most current version, and we're at version 0.6.2. So this is still early development. There's still a lot of changes that will likely come based on suggestions and that sort of thing. So definitely, if there are things that you'd like to see, you can reach out to Quarantine via GitHub, via the GitHub page for this, and put in feature suggestions. It doesn't mean he's going to implement them, but it may give him an idea on different ways to approach things here. So, but be nice when you create these feature requests or whatever. Be nice. Don't be a dick. I'm not accusing anybody. Sometimes I feel like I have to say these things. Let's see. Colin spent a number of years selling and implementing document management systems for enterprise companies. Okay, George wanted to see a list of packages and dependencies for a native install, but it's not or is possible, but not documented yet. Documentation for this coming soon for that, so that's cool. Cancel. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything over there. That's awesome. So let's come back to here, right? So we kind of, so we've got home, we've got documents, we've got tags, we've got tagging rules. We've also got members as an option here. And from here, you can see everybody who's a member of your organization. You can invite members if you want to do that. This does require that you've got an SMTP server set up, which I think is fairly standard for a feature like this. You would just need to put in their email address, select what do you want them to be, a member or an admin, and then invite them to the organization. They will have to then create an account if they don't already have one, and then they can join the organization if they want to do that. We can also see if there are other, if you've sent an invitation to someone, you can see pending invitations here as well for invitations that you've sent out. You can see when the role that was assigned to them, their status, and when it was sent. You can also from here cancel that if you need to. Count. Oh, okay. Quarantine's correcting me. The server isn't required. You can invite someone. They'll just have to create an account, and then they'll see the invitation in the app. It's easier for automated processes to have an SMTP server, but it's not required. It just simplifies the invitation process. I guess I did overspeak on that. Mr. Grey Wolf says, I'd give almost anything to find a better option than my company's SharePoint 2013 solution for document management. Holy crap. Yeah, that's whew, I can't imagine. Eager to see where this project goes. I agree. I absolutely agree. So that's home. From here, oops, hold on. Home documents. We've looked at that. We looked at tags. We looked at tagging rules briefly. And members, we've taken a look at that. We saw deleted documents earlier, and settings. So from here, you can change the organization name, or you can delete the organization if you need to do that. We've got intake emails here, which I didn't really want to show that, but there it is. And then webhooks. So you can create webhooks as well. You win. Customers who are using SharePoint to DMS. Yeah. So with intake emails, you can basically email yourself documents, right? But again, that does require, in fact, let's come over to here for intake or for email intake of documents. It requires either Owl Relay or Cloudflare email workers. I know a lot of people who are self-hosting don't like the idea of using Cloudflare for anything, and I get it. But sometimes that's just how things are. There's again also you can do an intake with Owl Relay, which is over here. This is Owl Relay. This is also one of Quarantine's projects that he's got up and running. Even with a free account, you get 10 emails, unlimited ingestion, 30 days of log retention, fair use policy, and no credit card required. So if you want to use email ingestion for your documents, there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. But currently they both do require, where did it go? Email intake does, that both methods that do require a third-party solution, at least for right now. So that's just something to keep in mind. What else do we have here? Let's go back to organizational settings. Okay. We've looked at both of those. I think that's everything. And then webhooks. I'm not honestly sure how I would use a webhook for this, if I'm being honest. But it's there if you need to manage your organizational webhooks. They are there. I believe there's actually some documentation probably in here somewhere about that. But again, I've never been a big user of webhooks. So yeah, there's that. I think what else? Let's do some demonstration stuff here, right? We saw where I uploaded a folder or a file to my NAS, and this could also work as maybe you've got a scanner that will scan to your NAS, point it to here, and it will automatically ingest from basically from your scanner to your NAS in to Papra over here. I've got too many windows that say Papra in them, but then it would just automatically it get ingested into here. Let's see. Do so outdated because let's see. Mr. Grey Wolf says it was the best solution for the company would pay for at the time, starting with 2010. But now the servers and platform are so outdated, it's become a nightmare. I believe that. Mailsyn can also work as alternative. Yep. I also don't understand why people avoid Cloudflare. I don't get it. I do. I do. And it's so here's the thing, right? When you use Cloudflare, whether it's via their SSLs or their reverse or their proxying, their DNS proxying, or their tunnels or whatever, technically, if they wanted to, if they were being malicious, because they control the SSL encryption that's being used to encrypt your data, they have the keys to that. They could do a man-in-the-middle decryption of your data and look at it. I've never heard of that happening. So while it could happen, the likelihood of it is very, very, very slim. Also, there are people out there that will take it a step further, and if you're using a third-party VPS to manage part of your infrastructure via a WireGuard relay or a reverse proxy relay or something like that, if you're using a third-party solution at all, people get their panties in a bunch and complain, well, it's not true self-hosting because not everything is completely under your control. If you want to be that pedantic about it, that is your privilege. You're allowed to do that. I don't necessarily, from my perspective, agree with that mindset. There are just some people out there who are very, very set in their ways about how they want to approach certain things. And again, they can do that if they want. It just really limits what they can do and complicates the process along the way. So I don't agree with them. I'm all for using third-party solutions where it makes sense, where it may still save me some time and effort. That's why I still use a third-party service for my email, right? I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, I'm willing to make some concessions on using third-party solutions to facilitate what I'm doing the easiest way possible with what would likely be the least amount of downtime. So I can certainly imagine that. Oh, managing UL servers, yeah. It's gatekeeping, yeah, I kind of get that. But no, it's just there are just people out there who are just against using anything third party. That's if they can't touch it, then it's not self-hosting and they don't want to deal with it. And rather than being open-minded about it, they will go on Reddit tirades for days because how dare you do something that doesn't fit their use case. It's dumb, but it is what it is, as they say. So yeah, that's kind of where things are with that. I don't know why I opened to that statement that way. So anyway, we've got a couple of different ways here that we can upload documents as well. We can click there and we can go over to our documents and we can just do that. And there it is. I don't know if we can actually view that. We cannot. It doesn't support that file type. I guess that's something else I should have shown. If we come over to here, hey, there's a PDF, right? If we come back to home, warranties export, there's a CSV file that we can look at. Cash receipt form, this was something that I just pulled off the internet. And this is even still editable in there. Wow, that really is editable. That's pretty crazy. I didn't think that was going to be an option. But with a lot of different document types, you can actually come in here and view these different document types. And I love that. Again, I can delete this or rename it. Let's click delete. Now it's gone. And if I go to deleted right there it is. I can click restore and then go back to home and hey, there it is again. Yay. Oh, balls. Thank you. I suck. Let's try that again. We can click upload documents and then we can grab that and there it is. Again, there will be some documents that you can't view. This is a docx file that can't be viewed for any number of reasons, because I can't imagine dealing with Microsoft's, I don't even know, drivers, extensions, whatever. I don't know. We've got a PDF here. No, that is an ODT file. Here's a PDF, right? And we can view the PDF here. We can look at our CSV file here from a previous video where we took a look at Warwicker. Cash receipt form. Again, we can fill this out here. Not that you can really do anything with that, I don't think. I don't think that's actually, yeah, it didn't save anything, but you can come in here and type if you want. Let's see what else. Yeah, placeholder description, another PDF. So you can absolutely do it that way. Again, we can delete the document like so, and then come in here. There's that brochure that we just deleted, and then we can restore it. And there, go back to home, and there's brochure yet again. Preview is currently only supported for text-based images and PDF. That makes sense. I can imagine the complications that arise with all of the different file types that are out there, trying to be compatible with all of that. I can only imagine is a nightmare. I'm not a developer, so I can only imagine that dealing with MIME types sucks. So I think this is also going to be basically the same thing. It is, so just a couple of different places to do that, because when you're in other places, you can still from there import a document from there. The one other thing that I wanted to mention is that if you've got tagging rules, or if you create a tagging rule, as it currently stands, tagging rules only apply to documents that have been uploaded after you've created that tagging rule. Now, I believe that is on the roadmap to not necessarily be the case. If we come down, there was something about tagging. I believe when Quarantine and I were talking the other day, I believe that add a run now or play button to newly created tagging rules that would then go back and retroactively apply those tags to previously uploaded documents. Let's see. Jan just became or sent a gift membership. Thank you so much. Zero Linux picked that up. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that donation, Jan. Super, super appreciate that. I saw a little flicker over there, and I was diverted. But yeah, so for right now, again, if you create a tagging rule, it will only apply to documents uploaded after that rule was created. That is being worked on, or will be worked on. It's on the roadmap, so that when you create a tagging rule, you can then go back and retroactively apply it to documents that have already been uploaded, which I think will be great when that's available. So just wanted to touch on that really quick. Again, members, we've talked about invitations and adding members to there. We've got a light and a dark mode, or a system. I think we're a follow system. And then we've got account settings where you can go in and adjust things there. What else we got in here? API keys, invitations, language, and logout. Can you view the files as thumbnails? To my knowledge, no. They've got the little icon over here. The best thing you can do is click it. Oh, that's the wrong file type. That's a brochure. That's a docx. I should be looking here. You can view it over here as long as it's a compatible file type, right? But as far as like a little thumbnail preview, like in this window, I don't believe that currently exists. But again, you can click a PDF and view it over here. I believe, yeah, there we can view it over here in this part of the window. If that's a feature you would like, you would need to go over to GitHub and submit that. Trying to think and of course, like I mentioned, we can also do things with Owl Relay, where you can basically send yourself an email, or have somebody else send you an email, and that will get brought in here as well. Let me see if I can find that. Let me come back over to here so that you guys didn't want to deal with generating thumbnails for each file type. I can't imagine. Let's do this. Let's do Gmail. I'm going to get logged in to into this. To come over to here. I'm going to compose. Can I? Man, of course not. Hold on. I'm getting there, I promise. Cold. Hold on. All right. So let's do that. Okay. Yes, I understand that. Okay, so this is my a Gmail account that I have set up to communicate with Owl Relay. Again, this is the email ingestion option that uses another of Quarantine's applications and services that he has built. So if I grab this, right, I'm just gonna rename this to Owl Relay Demo.pdf. Right, I'm gonna drag this over there so that it is in my email, and I'm just going to send it through. This doesn't matter. Fine, whatever. We're just going to click send, right? And then I'm going to be able to come over to here, and we're going to give this a minute because there is a bit of it's a relay, so it may take a moment for this to do what it needs to do. If we come over to here. Owl Relay and come into here. Right there. There it is. It just came in a few seconds ago. We can see all of the testing that I've done in here. And if I refresh, again, it may take a moment for it to pop through, but it will. Oops, let's see. Where they copied and not hard linked with different names. Chris, that would definitely be a question. Oh, well, there you go. So Chris asks, sorry for the late question. When files are imported, why are they copied and not hard linked with different names? I would think this behavior similar to ours would be easier to manage. And then Papra has its own file storage service, and we may not plan to change how it works as we propose multiple backend solutions. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it is that is the answer. Yeah. So and again, guys, here's the thing about this, right? Again, like this is currently versions 0.6.2. This is still very, very early development. If we, man, let's come over to here. We're gonna click GitHub right here, so that we can kind of see this, right? There have been 23 releases so far over, and here we can see some of these different things. Gordon's really, really spending a lot of time working on this application, and has done a bunch of different releases. This is just over the last couple of weeks. He's done a bunch of different releases to this. Dude's been hard at work here. So, and honestly, it's what has kept me from making any content about this so far, because every time I'm like, okay, if we get the ability to add members to an organization, that's where I'll be able to make content about it. And then he's like, oh, by the way, here's some new stuff coming. And I'm like, okay, well, let's wait for that. And by the way, here's some new stuff coming. I'm like, well, crap, let's get to that point. And it's, he's been cranking out these updates so fast that it's been hard for me to decide when was the best time to actually, oh, whatever. Sorry, I got a notification that looked like it was really important. So he's been cranking out these features so fast that I wasn't sure at which point it made sense for me to make content about it, because I knew that more stuff was coming and I was really excited about the new stuff coming, and I didn't want to make a piece of content and be like, hey, by the way, all of these other features are coming. So I wanted to wait until we got to a certain point, and I feel like we're at that point. With that said, let's refresh this again. Hold on. I'm sent Owl Relay demo. Let's see. Interesting. It hasn't pulled it. Interesting. It should have pulled it by now, I would think. Documents. Maybe. Let's look over here. Let's go to containers. Let's look at this. Let's look at timestamps. 40. Interesting. I don't know why that hasn't pulled in yet. It's probably something I screwed up on my end, but it should have pulled by now, I would think. That's really strange. This is literally the first time I've had it not. Maybe you already have that file with the same. Oh, with the same content. I absolutely have the same file with the same content. You're right. That is good to know. That's really good to know. That it will recognize that. Papra prevents duplicates. Okay. See, I'm learning stuff here. Let's do template gallery. Let's just pull up something different. Let's download a pet resume. See, I'm learning it in real time, so I really appreciate you being here to explain that. Let's save that as a PDF, and there is pet resume, right? So we're gonna do compose. Let's just make this big. We're gonna do cold, and then pet resume, and then we'll grab this and we'll drag that over to there. That explains a lot. Okay, let's send that. Now we have pet resume in theory on its way to our instance. Let's come over to here and check the relay. It hasn't come through on the relay just yet, but it will. Again, it is a relay. It may take it. There it is just now. Pet resume. Papra, pet resume. There we go. Cool. I'm really glad that we all got to learn that together because I was really confused. So added a unique constraint on the file hashes to prevent duplicates. That's really neat. What would also, and I hate to bring this up right now, it would also be neat to maybe indicate somewhere in here, like it was this file right here that I emailed myself. It would be neat to have maybe an indicator somewhere in here that would let us know that this other thing tried to get uploaded. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it's unnecessary. But I think this happened to me a couple of times and I didn't know why. But that definitely makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm just making sure that isn't as important as I thought it was. But no, that's really good to know. But let me actually come over to here. I'm curious. Let's refresh. Okay. So that's the other thing is if you upload it via, say, the document source, it'll be useful for tagging rules too. Okay, cool. If you email yourself something, it's not going to end up in your ingestion done folder. It's going to go straight to the configs folder where it gets stored in here under this app data, documents, and then the organization name, which we need to talk about. It would be this one right here that's got that crazy other name with the metadata attached to it. So let's talk a little bit about orgs for a second here, right? This is my scans folder in my on my NAS, and I've got Papra in here, and right here I've got org TLGCU. This name it's irrelevant, right? If I upload something to this outside of this organizational folder, Papra won't touch it, and that's just the way it's built. If you want to use the ingestion folder, you have to tuck it into an organizational folder. Well, how do you get this organizational information right here? That's a great question that I'm glad you asked. If we come back over to here, if we take a look, this is dbtext organization, and in the URL we can see URL/organizations/ that same information that we saw over there. Dude, Quarantine, you are so much better at English than I will ever be in French. You're good. Don't even worry about it. But in the URL bar up here, we can see the organizational ID, right? So if I were to come over to here and create a new organization and call it Livestream org, and create an organization, here we can see this organization name right here. This is different than what we had for the DB Tech organization. We can see that URL changes. So if I come over here to Livestream.org, there's nothing here, right? And I can, of course, from here, I can upload a file if I want to do that. But if I want to make it so that we can ingest from a folder, what we have to do is actually come back over here to Jarvis. Well, we need to grab this org name first. We're going to copy that. We're going to go to Jarvis, or whatever your NASA's name happens to be. We're going to create a folder in the Papra ingest folder, like so. And now I don't remember the name of which one it was. It is the FNU. That's fun. So then I can come over here, right, and I can grab those three and drag those in there. And there it is. We're going to give this a second. And here we can see that it's actively ingesting it. It created a folder here. Now those are there. And if I come back over, there are the folders or the files that we just created, or that we just uploaded to our NAS. And Cornton says it's planned to make Papra auto-create the organizational ingestion folders with the ID. That's awesome. That is going to be so helpful. I think that will make things a lot easier for people who don't want to go in there and manually create all of that stuff. Because obviously it was able to create the ingestion done folder, which is again right there. So being able to create the org folder, I think that's great. I'm really glad to hear that. The one thing I did want to see now that we've created an additional organization is app data, documents. And here we've got separate org folders in the app data. So obviously we can do that. So being able to put it in the scans folder would be an awesome next step. And there they are, the three files we just uploaded to our new organization, this Livestream org right there. Let's see, members, do we have any invitations? Yeah, so that's kind of how that works. The one thing I also wanted to show, again, I've got too many things open, man. You don't have to use Owl Relay if you don't want to. If you don't want to use Cloudflare, you don't have to. But just for the sake of ingesting via email, you do need a relay of some variety. And again, that's covered in the docs. And there's that. This is the Docker Compose that I'm currently using. I've modified it a little bit to get rid of my secrets and my stuff, whatever. That's linked in the video description on YouTube. I can also put it over on. I'm going to put it over there. I'll also, just for the sake of being fair to everybody, there we go. Oops, one more. There it is. Like so. So that's the Docker Compose that I'm using. That said, if we come over to the documentation for Papra, and we take a look at this, right here is the basic Docker Compose. This is the tamest version of this to make it work. This is probably what a lot of people will start with. However, if you'd like to kick it up a notch, you can do this. I want to pause there for a second. James Collins says, what is a neat feature? You can add something like dumb drop and point to your ingestion folder and then use that as a web-based upload. That's very true. I actually have dumb drop set up. I hadn't thought about attaching the two, but that's a cool idea as well. Yeah, I really dig that. Great idea, Collins. So we've got this Papra Docker Compose YML generator, where you would start with your external port. If you're already using port 1221, you could change it to 1222, and have that show up there. And it would automatically update this, this app base URL. Of course, if you were going to put this on a domain name, you could say HTTPS, papra.mysite.com. You can choose the image source. It currently, by default, is GitHub Container Repository. There's also Docker Hub. You've got a couple of different ways depending on your preference on how you want to pull this image. We'll just leave it there. The service name, you can name this whatever you want to name it. We've got an auth secret here that we can generate a different one if you want to do that. The volume path is where is your stuff going to get stored for your application data, for your configuration for the app. There's a couple of different versions of this image, though, to be aware of as also. We've got rootless and we've got root. This is important to be aware of. Rootless is probably the better option for the sake of security. It's usually bad practice to run things as root. That said, in order for me to get this to work on my Synology because of permissions issues, I'm using the root version of this container because Synology permissions suck. And I don't mean to disparage Synology, but it was the only way I could get it to work without putting my UID and my GID down here as 0. So I just went with the root option for that for Synology. Again, you probably don't need to do that if you're not using a Synology. You've also got the option for ingestion folder enabled or disabled. By default, it is disabled. But if you'd like to enable it, you can also map your path there. So like for me, it would have been, like volume 1 / Papra ingestion, right? And then we could also do something similar. I guess it was actually scans. Now that I think about it, right? But this might be like that. And now that I've got all of that in there, if we scroll down, we can actually see all of this stuff based on what we've entered up here, automatically generating our Docker Compose for us. And I did have a couple of suggestions that were implemented that I'm really happy that I got to contribute here. And then again, we've also got intake emails. If you want to enable those, you've got sub options here for Owl Relay or Cloudflare that you can choose from. And then you can then go to Owl Relay, generate an API key, drop that in there, and all of this will be there as well. We're just going to do dash, and we're just going to mash on the keyboard. This would never work. But here, this would be your entire Docker Compose to get started. If you wanted to take it a step farther, you could, let's pop this open in a new tab. We've got additional things that you can do here. All of these are basically down here as well. But on the configuration page in the documentation, there's a whole list of environment variables that you can incorporate depending on what your needs happen to be. All kinds of identity providers and your ingestion folders and documents hard deleted after expired documents enabled, cron jobs and intake email and SMTP stuff and SMTP JSON config. There's a bunch of stuff in there. The Stripe, if you wanted to make people pay to use it, there are plans in here for Stripe. All kinds of crazy stuff in here. You can come in here and find an environment variable for just about anything if you needed to. So I encourage you to dig through this as well. Configuration variables. Oh yeah, and then there's even more information about what each of those things does below that. So Quarantine's been hard at work for months building this and the documentation, and I'm super impressed with all of this. Thank you for iced tea. Thank you. Still get tea even on hot days. Love it. Oh, that's good. So again, there's so much that Quarantine has already done with this. Like I genuinely have felt bad about not making content about Papra sooner, but there were just little things that I wanted to be available before we did it, and he's done that. The big one for me was initially it was adding members to your organization. When he and I first started talking about this, you could only have like one user per organization. You couldn't invite users, which kind of separated each user into their own organization. But now you can have multiple users per organization, and that's what I was waiting for. But then once that came up, There was no way to see what invitations had already been sent. And that I was kind of waiting for that. And then that got done. And if we come over to like here and go to members and invitations, here we can see that's been implemented as well. So he's done a really, really great job at making this very usable in a number of different ways to fit different use cases depending on what people are doing. And I love that. I genuinely love that. Again, if we come over to, oh man, where was it? A roadmap. Let's look at the roadmap because I'm curious. I actually haven't dug through this too much. Batch import, normalized doc website theme with app and landing page, lazy load the demo module, prefetch API config, make a simple layout for non-organizations page. I dig that. Documentation quick preview. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Email inbox lookup job. I don't know what that is, but it's backlogged. Customizable themes, installation script. I love that idea. I know a lot of people are going to hate it. A lot of people really hate installation scripts. Again, I kind of get why, but more often than not, you can dig through that script and read the code, and it's fine to go that way. Add the ability to customize Owl Relay email username. I dig that. Again, add run now or play button on newly created tagging rules. Batch edit. With batch edit, I'm sure this is part of it. Yeah, delete multiple docs. There you go. He is super excited to be going outside. Jorge Gomez, thank you for the super chat. Really, really appreciate that. That was really nice of you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks. Moving documents between organizations. I actually was thinking about that, but figured it would probably be here, and I was right. Automatically create subfolders. That was mentioned earlier as well in the ingestion folder, and customize the login page. I wonder if there's any further. Disable email login in favor of OAuth only. All right, that's cool. Lots of good information there. Man, he's really excited. He is really, really excited. Oh, Collins, dude, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Dude, you are excited, man. That's Oh, I don't know if I can even mute that right now. Holy cow. Sorry guys. He's excited. Holy cow. So anyway, that's in the backlog. So that's a lot going on. And then in the to-do, upgrade organization tier, advanced search. Oh, doing an advanced search page rather than just the search up here. It's awesome. He's excited, dude. He loves to be able to go outside and play on the trampoline and in the pool and all of that. So no, I'm hoping today goes better than last Saturday where we had to abruptly end things. We've taken some different precautions. It should be all right. Improved document details page. Let's see. Do you have any information? No information provided. Oh, and no clear idea. I just think the design can be better, less empty. Maybe I'll need to play with Figma. Cool. Man, thank you guys so much for being so supportive of all of this and being so generous and gracious when he comes in and is super noisy. That really honestly means a lot to both me and my wife. I wanted to thank you guys for that because not everybody is out there in the world, and you guys are awesome, and I super appreciate you being so supportive. Let's see, improve organization page, unified light and dark themes. Romans says, I got a membership now. I never win anything. That's great. Improve off-page layout, add feedback when issue occurs when creating intake email, disable whole access to the app if request does not match trusted origins. Interesting. And improved the logged error in case of invalid trusted origin. Cool. And then in progress, nothing actively being worked on there according to this. And then 40 things over here that are done, that have been completed. Lots of stuff in there. So that's awesome. Priority board. Let's see what we've got in here. Nothing there. Team invites. Cool. Well, that is the roadmap as it currently stands. Let's do one more quick thing here. It's the backlog. Let's come over to here. Let's take a look. Again, this is the GitHub repository for Papra. And if we come over to here to issues, we've got some different things in here. Enhancements, help wanted. I just wanted to see bugs, enhancements, uppercase hex codes not being accepted for tags. Interesting. So yeah, if you're not sure about, like if you've got an idea or a feature request or an enhancement that you feel like you would like to see, this is the place to do it. While I appreciate you guys communicating that to me, like in the comment section of the videos when I release them, I've got no control over over features and enhancements and that sort of thing. So going to the GitHub repository of whatever app is always the better way to handle that. So Roman asks, I wonder about known format documents like bills and pay slips. Is there a way to train the app to distinguish them and maybe process them in a specific way? There sort of already is through character or through the OCR. You can do that through tagging, right? So if we create a tagging rule, we could call this pay slips, right, or whatever, right? And then we can go to condition, and then we can say if the document name contains payslip, or if the document contains, overtime, right, or something like that, something that would be in your pay slip. If the document contains that, then it would automatically get this tagging rule, and then it should, in theory, add that tag to the documents over here. I hope that makes sense. I think we could even tell you what. Let's do. Man, let's come back over to here, right? Let's create a recipe, right? And we're going to use this as an example. It's got the word recipe in it, and it's the title of the name. So if we take this and say download as a PDF, and then we'll come over to here. Oops, we're going to come over to here. We're going to create a tagging rule, and we're going to say this is going to be a recipe. And the description will be some version of that word. Condition, the document, if the document contains, the document content contains the word recipe, then we're going to create a tag called recipe. We'll create the tag, right? And then now that we've done that, we're going to add the tag recipe to this rule of if the document contains the word recipe, create the rule. There it is. Now we've got recipe with one condition. So we come back to the home page and click upload the document and go to downloads, and there is recipe. Give this a second. Right there, it automatically tagged recipe because the word recipe was in the document. So in theory, you could train it that way to tag things based on contents of both the title or the contents of the document. I hope that makes sense. Hopefully, I hope that answers the question you were looking for. App to distinguish them and maybe process them a different way. Yeah, I think that would be the way to handle that. Cornington says, yeah, don't hesitate to open issue for ideas or bugs. Also, there's a Discord server for the community. I don't know if I actually put that in the description of the video. I should do that though. Papra, right here is Discord. Copy a link address. There is the Papra Discord. Again, I know I overshare this, but I want to make it very easy for people to find. So hopefully that will solve that. Exist enterprise, that would be somewhat extremely difficult to do. Collins is the dude on this. Like Collins has been around these systems for a while. Um, looks like you guys are going to get an ad over on Discord or on Discord on Twitch. We're doing just 2 ads per hour, 3 minutes apiece, just to not have ads happening all of the time. So let's make sure that is there. Again, we took a look at my demo. We've kind of taken a look through the docs. There's Docker Compose. Again, there's the Docker Compose generator that we took a look at, that I got to at least help with a little bit. Configuration reference, again, all kinds of environment variables here, configuration files. And then again, below all of that, an explanation about what each of those different things does, which I think is great. I can't imagine all of the time and effort that's gone into this. Alexia says, speaking about EOL servers, I discovered that I need to upgrade my Ubuntu installations to 2404. Cool. I've always hated like server upgrades, like upgrading from different versions to new versions. Always freaks me out. It makes me super anxious. Quite a bit of experience with enterprise DMS systems, tools like Laserfish and the like. No, that's cool. That's an area that my understanding and my experience with them is, prior to this, was paperless and GX, and now this, and that's my experience with these types of systems. So I guess Collins is volunteering. If you've got questions about document management systems, join the Discord no, don't DM him. That'd be rude. I'm joking. Don't do that. But no, Collins is super knowledgeable there. Let's see, what else do we have over here? Guides again. So with Owl Relay, this is, I mean, it's fairly easy to set up if you follow the instructions. If you try to go to Owl Relay first, don't. Come over to here and read the instructions. It's like four steps, and really fourth step is profit. So yeah, 3 steps to get set up with Owl Relay if you want to go that route. If we take a look at like Cloudflare workers, it is quite a bit more detail or whatever, like set up an email worker and do all of this stuff, and then configure the email worker and do all of that stuff. Like Owl Relay is kind of the way to go on this, at least at the time that we're talking about this. Setting up an ingestion folder, again, we kind of talked about that a little bit, and it sounds like they're going to simplify that even farther by automatically creating the org folders when the orgs are created. So that will be super helpful. Adam says hello. Hi, thanks for joining. Glad to have you here. Up in the Sky again says, it seems to me that paperless NGX is better than that. If you're saying better than Papra, paperless has been in development for years and years and years in different iterations and different forks and different versions. Papra is still pretty new. And to kind of speak to that, Papra has a total of 6 contributors, and that includes Copilot, GitHub Actions, and then 2 or 3 individuals, whereas like paperless NGX, GitHub. Let's come over to here so that we can see the 360 contributors. And like Cornton said, the 10,000 commits and the 10 years of development. So to say it's better, what you're really saying is that it's been around a lot longer. It's had hundreds of contributors and thousands of commits. And yeah, it is further along in its life cycle than Papra. Like the initial commit on this was 5 months ago. Like, I'm sure that there was some stuff going on behind the scenes prior to that, but the first commit was 5 months ago, not 10 years ago. So please keep that in mind. And honestly, that's why I like to talk about this stuff, is because people forget that um, that there are real people behind these apps. It's why I've started adding developer video clips to my videos recently, because people forget that that these projects that we spend a lot of time looking at are often very, very small teams of developers. When you look at Paperless NGX, that's hundreds of contributors adding to this very old project. Whereas this is a small team. Yeah, January 1st was the first commit. So, right, so I'm trying to, with doing these tutorials like I've done over the past few weeks, bringing the developers into the video to say, hey, look, this is the development team. These are the 2 to maybe 10 people working on these projects. And you've got to understand that not only is it these very small teams that are developing these things, these teams also still have 9 to 5 jobs. They still have families. They still have to take care of themselves. There's so much that people forget about when they want to talk about these projects. Oh, well, this project's better than that project because, well, that project that is better has been around for years and years and years longer and has a larger development team approaching different things. Like, if we want to talk about that, we can also look at, like Nextcloud is another one of those that, like, Nextcloud, like the official organization for Nextcloud has 335 repositories. And and like, if we come into server here, right? Um, Again, 1,000 contributors to this one repository. With 337 releases and 81,000 commits for the Nextcloud server, right? So to say that the one project is better than another, I think, is an unfair equivalency, because they're not the same project. They're not trying to accomplish the same things. If paperless works better for you based on your needs, then rock that, man. I'm not trying to tell you to use Papra. I'm just showing you what's available out there, to show you that other developers are out there creating very cool projects, because not everybody needs all of the features of paperless. Not everybody needs all of the features of Nextcloud. There are other things out there that are smaller and more concise. Like Warwicker. We talked about Warwicker recently. And you've got other services out there that do the same thing and a ton more. But not everybody wants to install Snipe It or Homebox. I think Homebox hasn't been touched or maintained in a long time, but those projects may have way too many features for somebody who just wants to keep track of, a thing they bought and when it needs to be maintained and the warranty on it. Homebox or Snipe It may be far too much for that. So based on that rationale that was brought up a moment ago, Snipe It may be better for certain people, but Worker may be better for others, because it's not as it doesn't have nearly as many features that particular person isn't going to use. Um, there you go. Collins is speaking to my soul right now, saying, I'm going to be completely transparent here. I recently implemented paperless NGX, but I'm really looking forward to implementing Papra and moving over to this. It's closer to my needs at the moment. And that's just it. I'm trying to show people options and show the things that each of these options do, so that people can make a semi-informed decision on what they implement in their home lab, so that they're not overwhelmed by features they don't need. So that's my TED talk about that. So again, it kind of gets me a little bit when people are like, oh, this is better. It might be better for you. You're one of 8 billion people, and I'm not trying to pick on you specifically, the person that left that comment. I get that kind of stuff frequently. Um, yeah, there you go. Paperless NGX has some great features, and I really like the AI tagging, but it's also got much more that I need to manage my documents or archives at home. Better is such a relative term. Better could mean a million things, and that is, as a content creator, when I see people release videos about like the best phone or the best password manager or the best anything, I don't watch those videos because of the sensationalism of the title. Um, because saying something is the best, like Colin says, is completely relative, right? What's the best car I could get? I don't know. What is your plan for it? What do you want to do with it? Are you just going to go take your kid to school and go to the store and come home? Then, a very, very cheap EV might be the best car for you. You're going to take it on the track? Or are you trying to go fast? Cool. Well, then you've got a whole other best category to sift through. So it's best is such a relative thing that I deliberately skip over videos or articles or whatever that says the best thing for that option. No, or like the best password manager, the best car, the best Stream Deck alternative. I don't read that garbage because I truly believe that it's sensationalizing something based on that particular creator's perspective. And I don't want to support sensationalism. I just don't. And I know that's a me thing, but it's just one of those things that I've been doing for a long time, because saying something is the best only applies to the person who's creating that piece of content and maybe a small amount of other people, and it just gets my goat, so to speak. So yeah, let's see, make sure nothing else over here is being missed, because sometimes weird things happen that I miss over there. All right, let's see. Let's see. Cornton says, by the way, an importer for paperless NGX exports as archive is planned. That's awesome. Also, lightweight apps don't make a Raspberry Pi deployment scream. That is 100% right. Again, I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more. I would rather have 5 individual apps that each do one thing really, really well than one app that does those 5 things kind of well. So and yeah, if you can get a small app that doesn't make a lightweight piece of hardware scream, then I call that a win too. Quarantine says, yeah, I wanted to make a simpler in UI UX and setup alternate to paperless. There you go. It's a single Docker image, no need for complicated, if I could speak here, multi-container setups. ARM v7 is supported. Let's see. James asks, are there any plans to integrate AI? Alexia says, if someone would title the video "The Best Password Manager for My Needs," should you give it a watch, or would you give it a watch? That depends on the creator, I guess. And I know that sounds strange. If there's a creator out there who I follow that, and here's the thing, just to caveat all of this, I rarely watch other self-hosting channels. And I've got a reason for that, right? Because in the past, okay, when Cloudflare tunnels first became a thing, I wasn't necessarily the first, but I was one of the first people to create content about Cloudflare tunnels and how to implement it into a home lab. And then I made a follow-up video to it because I missed some stuff. And then later I sat down and I took a bunch of notes and I created a full video that re-encompassed everything and made a better piece of content. Shortly thereafter, a couple of days after I released my video, another much larger creator made a video on the same topic. And people from his community, not at his whim, I'm sure of it, but people from his community came to my content, my new piece of content, the one that came out before his content, and it was like, well, you ripped him off. You're just trying to duplicate his because his did so well, and you're stealing his idea. And I was like, well, no, because while our content may be similar, if you look at the dates, my content came out first. Also, if you go back and look at my channel, I've got 2 other pieces of content on the same subject that came out first, months, weeks, whatever, before this piece of content of mine that came out before his piece of content. So I deliberately don't watch very many other creators in this space because I don't want there to be the opportunity for somebody to create a piece of content and then me watch that piece of content and then unintentionally rip them off. If I don't watch it, I can't deliberately or not rip them off. I can actually say, no, I've never watched that piece of content. This is how I approached it. If it was similar, then it was similar, and there's nothing I can do about that. So it's kind of a CYA for me. There are people who I will watch their content, but then will deliberately go out of my way to not touch that same service for at least a month. It's not I don't have a specific time frame in mind. That's just an arbitrary thing. But I will make sure that I don't cover that piece of content for a period of time because I don't want any kind of overlap where they're like, oh, well, you ripped me off or you ripped this creator off. It's just a thing I do. So if somebody were to make a piece of content from a creator that I watch periodically, I might see what their rationale for it was. But only if I also trust the other things that I've seen from them. Up in the Sky again says finding the right app is not easy. Same with the image notes apps. Yeah, I've made so many videos on image apps, note apps, things like that. I've made so many videos on those because there are so many different options out there based on different backends, based on different use cases. So yeah. Cornton says AI is an obvious direction for the app like Papra, but not in the near future. I don't want to jump in too quickly or hypely. I get that on the path. We're not necessarily at the end of the stream plagueless. We're just talking about some stuff at this point. Your reasoning sounds like a really noble. Look, I'm not looking for nobility. I'm just looking to not create unnecessary drama. The internet is full of drama, and I try very often to stay away from it. I made one drama related video when MKBHD took down, I'm using air quotes there, when he took down that artificial or the AI box pin thing. Because people were like, well, he's just taking out companies with his thing and he needs to be more fair and he needs to understand the power that he wields when he makes these videos. It's like, dude, no, like that's like way to only read titles and not pay attention to the content or not pay attention to what's going on behind the scenes. Again, that piece of content was a one-off piece of content because I wanted to see what would happen with my audience if I made a drama piece about the tech industry and people in the tech industry. I actually want to take a look at that. MKB HD, right? I made that April, when was it? April 15th, 2024. I'll just show you this. It got 6,000 views, which honestly surprised me. And I lost 4 subscribers and I made $12. So it wasn't worth it in the long run. Like I didn't like, I actually lost 12 people who were subscribed and gained 8 subscribers. So I netted a loss of 4. So me making that kind of content about sensationalism or about drama or whatever just doesn't fit with what my audience expects of me. So I try to stay away from a lot of that. I've been trying to play with title ideas for videos recently just to try to just because unfortunately you kind of need clickbaity titles these days. Um, like, and I honestly, with some of these, I kind of feel dirty. Are we not? Why? Oh, we're just a little behind there. So, like this is my homepage. Let's close that. Um, like dumb assets, the simple asset tracking tool you need. I hate that. I hate it. But I've had to do it in order to get people to do it, to click through, right? I've had to be a bit sensational. Um, so I'm a hypocrite. I acknowledge that. Um, but it's playing the YouTube game. And sometimes I hate having to play the YouTube game because if I'm not at least a little bit of a hypocrite, then I'm potentially losing out on on views. Um, so it is what it is. Um, and if I've got to be at least a little bit of a hypocrite, then I guess so be it. I'm trying to come back to YouTube and I just can't. Too hard, brain hurts. Yeah, dude, I get it. I've actually the last, I guess, just a little update on me. Um, I hope that the last few videos that I have released, I hope you've been able to see a bit of a difference in the presentation, in not necessarily the video quality, but kind of the presentation of the videos and the organization of the videos. I've kind of got mixed results when I've asked that in comments. Um, but I'm on some new meds that's kind of that helps me stay focused. I'm seeing I'm seeing a professional, and they've got me on some stuff that seems to be helping um, over and it has been over the last month or so. And um, I don't know if you guys have noticed that. If you can't, if you haven't, that's fine. I have had some comments of people saying, "Hey, you've been killing it with the last few videos," which made me feel good. I'm not looking for that here, but over the last month, I've started some new meds, and it's been helpful. At least in my brain, it's been more helpful. I've been able to accomplish some things since I've been on the new meds that I haven't been able to do in years. Um, so that's kind of where things are for me anyway. I feel it's given me, because I'm not constantly like, my brain has always just constantly run at full speed for so long that I didn't know how to not do that. And because of that, I still talk fast. I always will. But my brain runs even faster than my mouth. And it still does, but now instead of going, 1,000 miles an hour, it's like 500 miles an hour. Um, and I'm able to process thoughts more fully. I'm able to stay on task longer. I'm able to organize my thoughts better. And as a result of that, I've made some deliberate changes to the way I'm producing my videos. Um, like the pangolin video took me 2 weeks to put together, not because of anything. Like I recorded the first half in a day, and then I had to take a week off to deal with some stuff, and then I took another day to do the other part. So really it was 2 days over 2 weeks to put that video together. But the first day was really, really hard for me because it was like the first video after being really on the meds, um, where I was like, okay, we're going to read this part of the script. And I would read it, and I'd read it too fast. And it's like, well, slow down. Let's do that again. And then I would read it again, and it was better, but still too fast. So I'd do it again. And then I go back, and of course, I'm watching. I would record and watch and record and watch and record and watch just to see what my thoughts on each take were. So I, too fast, too fast. Okay, that was the perfect speed, but like you're just dead. Like you're dead to the camera here. There's no expression. There's no inflection. Excuse me. So then it's a matter of going back and like, okay, let's have some enthusiasm, but let's slow down. And I'm slowly working on that being more natural when I'm recording, but it's still going to take some time. Um, I felt good about the pangolin video. I feel good about the dumb assets video. I'm, like the Papra video that will come after this, that will, I'm hoping I've got faith in myself at this point that I can make that one also feel good, as far as like the speed and the inflection and the organization. Quarantine was actually the first developer to submit a video to me to include in there. So he's going to make an appearance in that video that's coming up probably this week. So I'm definitely working on making the videos more consumable by more people, I hope. I've still got some ideas on doing some backtracking, and that sort of thing. I've got a cool project coming up from a developer who reached out to me yesterday that I'm excited to talk about. I haven't even really dug into it much other than like reading through the documentation and watching a couple of videos that he's put together about his project. But if it does the things I think it's going to do, I'm really excited about that one. I've got a couple of other videos that I'm talking to developers about as well that won't be quite as deep dive as this other one, but they'll be good. I think useful. I think is even more important. Um, but that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to work on here, is to make sure that the content that I'm putting together is easier to consume and digest, because I know for a long time I was talking way too fast and I wasn't talking about certain things early enough in the videos and kind of wasting people's time. And I feel bad about that, but I'm working to make it better. So thank you guys, both of you, James and Quarantine, for your support, and of course everybody else who's here right now for your support, um, and hanging out while I'm digressing for a moment. But yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update as far as some of that was concerned, just so you guys have got possibly something to help me or help hold me accountable if I start to drift, or if I start to waver, or if I start to fall into bad habits. I'm going to rely on you guys to yell at me, to be like, hey, you said you were going to do this, why aren't you doing that? So I may be hoping that you guys will hold me accountable when necessary. Playlist says that you're doing fine. That's why I continue to support and watch your videos. So I appreciate that. I genuinely do. If you guys want to support, you can like and subscribe. That would be amazing. If you haven't done those things already, you can also become a channel member, or a patron. Either of those will get you ad-free access to my content. That's no like baked in like sponsored ad spots, and that's no YouTube ads on those videos as well. And I say that as far as the YouTube ads, YouTube may put ads on them, and I don't have any control over that. But if they do, I apologize. But if you become a channel member or a patron, you get early access to a different version of the video. It's the same video, just no ads on it. Like I've got ads disabled, and I don't put baked in ads to the supporter version of those videos. I hope that all makes sense. John has become a member. Quarantine has sent a membership. Well, thank you, Quarantine. I really appreciate that. Do you get paid more for premium members watching your videos? So if you're a premium, if you subscribe to YouTube Premium, basically you pay, like I looked at mine yesterday. I paid $13 a month. Go ahead, dude. Go. In or out? Oh, weird. I guess the wind just blew it open. Okay, so if you become a YouTube Premium subscriber, so let's just use round numbers. Let's say you pay $20 a month, right? And YouTube is going to take half of that up front, I believe, because that's YouTube. which leaves about $10 a month to go to creators. If you only watch 10 creators and you watch them all for the exact same amount of time, each creator would get $1 of that remaining $10. Again, I'm using fictitious numbers here for the sake of example. So, if you watched 10 creators and only watched an hour of each of them for the month, they would each get $1. But I think the way that splits up is again, using 10 creators as an example, and you watch one of those 10 for 5% of the time, and another one for 10% of the time, and another one for 15% of the time, etc., and so on. They each get 5, 10, 15% of whatever's left after YouTube takes their cut. At least that's my understanding. Now, that said, a single view on YouTube, if you watch an ad, is worth like 0.000003 cents or something ridiculous. So if you become if you're using YouTube Premium, not only do you not get ads as far as like the YouTube ads, you also are paying the people that you're watching more. You're contributing more financially to those people, to those creators, right? As a YouTube Premium subscriber, you're helping them, you're helping the creators more. Again, that is a financial hardship, if you want to call it that, of $13 or whatever. I know some people that get the family plan and they get, X number of slots for a higher number of dollars. But in theory, you would be helping creators more and not get ads. But again, you have to pay for that. By becoming a channel member, you're contributing directly to me, though let's say you pay $5 a month to become a channel member or whatever it is. YouTube still takes half. And so I get the other half approximately. The thing about that is, by being a channel member, that doesn't preclude you from also getting YouTube ads, right? So there's that little thing there. And I say that if you become a channel member and just go watch my YouTube channel on the public side of things, you may still also get ads. If you become a channel member or a patron with me, I have two versions of my video. One is for supporters with no ads, and then there's the public facing video that does get whatever ads YouTube throws on it, or whatever sponsor spots I get paid to put in there. I will say this. For me, for whatever, I prefer when people become patron members. Because, while I understand it's a separate platform, right, I get a bigger, and he's right, I get more of the cut there. Patreon only takes like 5%. And that's unique to a certain group of people. New creators joining Patreon now, Patreon takes a bigger cut now than they did back when I joined. I got grandfathered in to the early adopter program, so I pay lower fees than new creators who join the platform because I've been on the platform for so long as a creator. The other nice thing about it is Patreon has a place where I can upload the video. I can upload like a blog post to go with it. You guys can comment in that and have a conversation with other Patreon members. We can have back and forth there. Also, this is going to sound selfish, I guess, but not only do I get more money coming to me for the same cost effectively over on Patreon, but I also have access to that money immediately. Whereas, like, if you joined as a YouTube member now, I wouldn't get access to the money that you've paid into YouTube until July 21st, because it all goes into the pool that then gets paid the following month. So it just goes into an account and it sits there forever. Whereas with Patreon, if you join today, I have access to that money today. So again, there's so many little nuances to being a creator and where you post things. Um, it's a lot. It really is a lot. Oh hey, Duke Seb is here saying it looks like he's going to catch a stream. We're about an hour and 40 minutes in. I don't know how much longer we're going to be here, but um, so and I don't want anybody to ever feel obligated to becoming a channel member or subscribing to doing the paid subscription over on Twitch. I don't ever want anybody to feel financially obligated to me. Always make sure that you take care of you and yours first. And if you've got a couple of bucks that you want to join Patreon, I've got several different plans over on Patreon. .com db tech yt, I think. Nope. Yeah, so like if I'll just again, I'm just going to share this just in case you're interested. There we go. But like if we come over to here, like you can see, how much I earn on a monthly basis right there. Let me zoom in a little bit, make it a little easier to see there, right? You can see that I've got 332 members. If we come over to here, that 332 breaks into 85 paid members, and the other, what is it, 200 and whatever, 247 members are free members. Like they get notified when I release something, but they may not actually get access to it without paying for it. There is an option to buy posts if you want to do that, but like if we come over to here, you can see for $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month, there are different plans here that you can join if you want to do that. Now, here's the thing that I did differently on Patreon than a lot of other creators do. All of these give you the same access to everything. It doesn't matter what level at which you join. They're all the exact same. You get the exact same thing no matter what. It's a matter of what do you want to sign up as? Do you want to pay $3 a month and get access? Do you want to pay $10 a month and get access? It's whatever level of support you're comfortable with, you're going to get the same thing no matter what. Because I didn't want people to feel like they were being left out or obligated to do something. Everybody gets the same access to everything no matter which level they subscribe at. It's a matter of what works for you. And that's how I wanted to handle that. So I hope that doesn't bother anybody. I've been doing it this way for a couple of years now, I think. So whatever makes you comfortable, that's the way to do it. So I hope that makes sense as far as why I've done the things I've done the way I've done them. I want to make sure that the people who are financially supporting me in some capacity get a cleaner version of a video with no ads. But they don't feel obligated to spend $5 a month to get something special or something different than the $1 a month or the $20 a month or whatever. I've tried to be as agnostic about all of this as I possibly can to give people the opportunity to do things the way that makes them the most comfortable. So there you go. I hope all of that makes sense. And of course, you can come in here and scroll through all of this content. And there's 300, there's more than 300 posts in here that are available. There's actually some posts on here that aren't available on YouTube because YouTube hit me with a community guideline strike for some of it. So I just moved it all over here because I didn't want to deal with it. But that's if you want to financially support, Patreon is probably the better way to go. But again, completely up to you on how you want to handle that. So, yeah. Okay, make sure nothing going on over here. Was there anything in any of this that anybody's got questions about? Whether it's ways to support, whether it's things about Papra, whether it's, if you got questions, definitely let me know. I'm happy to try to answer them to the best of my ability. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'll try. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking here. Can you start over, please? No. You can drag the little bar at the bottom of your screen back to the beginning. I think that's going to be the best option for everybody. Uh, sorry, I'm just getting some things kind of closed out over here. Um, I am definitely excited for to get Papra installed and whatnot. Just because, again, like Colin said, paperless is great, but there's so much. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention, you don't have to have Papra on a domain name unless you want to use email ingestion. If you want to use the email ingestion, you have to have your Papra accessible to the internet. Um, whoa, what the hell happened there? Oh, Sven, thank you so much for that. Thank you to Sven for gifting 5 memberships. That was awesome. Thank you so much for that. It's sometimes it's hard to see what's going on. Oh, it actually shows me if I open them up. I'll be damned. Check that out. Yeah. So thank you for all of the gifted memberships today. That's Alexia asks a good question. What is the most usable app that you have installed in your home lab? The most used, oh, I think you mean the most used app. Man, that's so we've actually had that conversation a little bit. Hey, Dangster became a member. That's awesome. That's cool. Thank you. Um, sorry, that just popped up. So, what's the most used app you have installed in your home lab? That's actually going to be a video, I think, here in the next little bit. Honestly, because I've got some other stuff going on in the background, that's going to take some time to actually to put the videos together. Um, there are a few that 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 I use a lot without really thinking about it. Yeah, I know. So the ones that I use the most. Um, I'm currently I'm looking. Here's the thing, right? Like there are some that just kind of sit in the background and just do their job so well that I don't think about them, right? So like right now, um, there's an app called 13-Foot Ladder that I don't use as much as my wife does. If you're not familiar with that, I'm not going to talk about it because YouTube is YouTube. But if you're not familiar with 13-Foot Ladder, we had this conversation a little bit last week. I've been using Dumbpad a lot more recently. Um, like just to keep notes about different things, to help me write scripts, because it's easy for me to bounce around from the computer to computer and just have it follow me. Um, Memos I don't use much anymore. I could probably shut that LXC down. I'm looking at my Proxmox setup here. Link Stack is another one of them that it just sits there and does its job, right? T nope. This is Link Stack, and it's just some links. This is one of those that gets used a lot, but not necessarily by me. This is what I have up so that other people can find all of the different places I am online. So while I'm not doing anything with it, it gets used a lot. HedgeDoc, another one of those that could probably go away. I used it a lot for a while. It's a great app. I still poke at it once in a while, but I don't use it nearly as much as I used to. DB Tech Reviews, that is just my main website. It is this one. I don't care. But again, you saw how fast that loaded, and it's pulling over the internet through a Cloudflare tunnel and the whole bit. So this is another one of those that has been up since like January of 2018. January 21st of 2018 was my first blog post on here. And I've just been using it for 7 years. I've had this up and running. So it's one of those that's there that gets used a lot, but not by me. I'll come in and I'll create a blog post and it just kind of sits there. URLs I use a lot. URLs gives me the opportunity to track shortened URLs so I can get a feel for how often a link is or how often a link I put out is getting referenced or used or whatever. I use it for that a lot. AdGuard Home is a lifesaver for me. It's always there. It's always doing its job. I've actually got two instances of this, one on the HL15 and one on my Synology, so that there's redundancy there. Password, I'm using Vault Warden again. This is one that my wife and I both use every day, and I love it. Code.dbtech, this is actually one that is um, in the chat, or sorry, in the description of this video. I don't use it very often, but when I do, it's nice to have. DBT3, hold on, dbt3ch.com. That is that is that is Bookstack. I haven't touched this in 3 years. 2 years. I haven't touched this in 2 years. It's another one of those that gets a lot of traffic though for old stuff that I don't think is even relevant anymore. Next term, I don't use. It's there. I was testing it. Orb was fun. I had it set up in a video, but I don't use it. Postas, I've been using a lot lately. If you've been following me on social media, you'll see how much I post recently. And dude, it's been such a lifesaver if I could break it out this way. Like this is this month. And you can see here all like on every day, like, 10, 11 posts sometimes. If we go back to the end of May is when I really started using it. Postus has been a huge help for me, trying to stay relevant, I guess, on social media. Speed test, I use that every once in a while. Video vote gets used every once in a while. Ansible semaphore don't get used as much as they should. Ghost test I was looking at how to export WordPress over to Ghost at some point. I should really just shut that down. Twingate can probably go. Active pieces, I thought I shut that down. Apparently not. It started having issues that I just got tired of dealing with. Home Assistant and Plex get used all over the time. Sven asks, when was the last what do I use video? It's been too long. I need to make that video more in depth than what we just did. It's been more than a year, I think. I need to make a video about that, also about the rack behind me, so that because I know that those usually do pretty well. But that's also to say I've got a bunch of Docker containers on my Synology that are just kind of back there apps that just do things. They get used pretty regularly, but again, they just run, they just perform their tasks, and I don't really think about it. My most used is homepage, as it's the gateway to everything. Yeah, like when I open my browser, I've got this. I've got this, and it's just homepage. And again, it's just when I open my browser, it's there, and I can see things, but I don't know why that is playing. He's not even in the house. But anyway, the kid was watching South Park before he went outside. But I've got some stuff over here. Like I've got speed test. Continue. Oops, you guys can't even see that. I suck. Here's my home page with Plex. Some stuff over here. Speed test, Uptime Kuma that I haven't updated in so long. Unify the Portainer instance on my NAS. AdGuard, one on the NAS, one on the HL15. So it's it is what it is. Like here, I like to be able to see things like speed test, just so I can get an idea of what that looks like. Here we can see what that looks like. I've actually got a 3 gig connection, but only 2 gigs currently because my my little adapter overheats and craps out. But it's nice to have that there. this gets used again every time I open my browser, but I don't really do much with it other than be like, oh, yep, sure is basically the same as before. And that's about all I do with that dashboard. Um, 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 yeah. So Jan, that's I use that dashboard as my homepage, but I don't really do anything with it. Let's see. Next is Home Assistant because it does its job smoothly. We rarely touch light switches and rarely, yeah. And that's just it, right? Like it makes it so easy to just not, you just set it and forget it, and it just works. Um, so yeah, no, I agree with that. I use Home Assistant quite a bit. It's one of those that, like you said, it just sits there and it just does what it does. Jose says hello there. Well, thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here. Cohesive says, I just want to say thank you for putting out so much great content. Your videos were the gateway that got me into self-hosting. Are you still using paperless NGX? We were actually just talking about that. I have it set up, but I don't use it. I genuinely should use it, but I don't. Just because I don't deal with enough documents to make it a standard part of my workflow. It's it works, it does what it needs to do, but I haven't touched it in a really long time. Again, I've got that one set up on my Synology just because I've got the MFP, the multifunction printer back there, set up to scan to a folder on my Synology, so it will auto ingest if I scan something into that specific folder. But in fact, I think in order to get Papra to work, I had to shut it down because it was ingesting and deleting. But I don't actually use a lot of the apps that we talk about here on the channel, just because again, like I like to show people what options are, or what options are out there or whatever. But I don't. I've kind of got my setup that works for me, and I rarely add something new to it unless I need to, unless I find a new app that really is something that I've been looking for, something that I know will work its way into my workflow. um, let's see. Nighthawk says he uses it with his MFP as well to consume documents and AI to give it descriptions and tags. I tried the descriptions and tags things, and it got a little wonky on me a couple of times, and then of course I shut it down. But see, Plagueless says I use Home Assistant for automation. That's it. Built a beautiful dashboard, and my family didn't use it, so now it just scripts and automations. Yeah, like I've got several different dashboards set up. Um, in fact, I think I can even show you some of it. There we go. Oops. Yes, I know it doesn't. I know you guys can't see this yet, but um, 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 like and because I haven't got a dashboard configured specific to this interface or to this browser, this is this is my homepage, and it's a lot. But like in the living room, we've got a couple of different. We got like 3 different lights in there. Um, the orange, so just a couple of like sconces. The plant light in the living room. We've got a shelf with a bunch of plants on it with a smart plug that turns that on and off on a schedule. Master bedroom, again, kind of the same thing. Like on my phone, this is my default screen. So that's why it's got like the weather and that sort of thing, is because it's the default thing on my phone. I can turn the plant light on and off here as well. Um, and then, of course, different lights or light switches for different things. And of course, I can control the TV from here as well. Studio, again, same thing. I can turn things on and off with that. I can control all of that in here, but really for the most part, everything is just set to automate most everything. Like it's kind of neat to be able to go in here and see which lights are doing what. The bedroom plant light, I changed the schedule on it, so of course it's using more power. um, but it's kind of neat to be able to see that, and of course I've got all kinds of like automations and things in here for different things, turning different things on at different times. I Love Home Assistant, but again, I got it all set up, and I only tweak things when I really need to. I forgot about casting couch in the studio. Yeah, it's sure back there. Um, I hate that couch. I got it a few years ago because we were going to have somebody staying with us for a short amount of time, and honestly, we didn't want it to be too comfortable. And it's just the worst couch. It's not comfortable at all. Um, I would like to get rid of it, but sometimes when we have visitors, they need a place to lay. So we lay it out flat. And then I've got an inflatable mattress up on the shelf behind me that we can put on top of it that makes it much, much more palatable to sit on, to lay on or whatever. So yeah, no, the couch is still back there. I just it doesn't get used. A place to lay, you say, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. Federico says greetings from Italy. Well, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you stopping by to say hi. Really, really do appreciate that. We're just kind of chatting about what I use the most in my home lab, and kind of coming to some realizations about some things, as far as some things I could probably shut down or reconfigure to be more better for my setup, for my use case or whatever. Um, so yeah, honestly, I think we just hit the 2 hour mark. Holy crap. Oh, sorry. Alexia also said 13 letters sounds handy. Might deploy it. Yeah. My wife uses it all of the time. So definitely check that out. The thing you use the most in your home lab is electricity. That's a fair statement. It absolutely is. I'm on the wrong screen. So my UPS down there's on the wrong screen. It's just showing utilization at like 45%. I'm usually using between 300 and 400 watts on that, but that's the whole rack. That's I think 3 different NASA's, the HL15, and the networking gear that's in there as well. And I know I could bring that down quite a bit, but I really like having my Plex container set up the way I do, with the transcoding and the AI. So I'm probably not going to go that route just yet. But speaking of AI and doing some different things, I'm starting to see the 125. Ooh, geez. Um, but yeah, so I've got somebody reached out to me recently with a new solution that they've got for Home Assistant. And they're like, hey, would you be interested? And I was like, maybe. But as I was reading through the documentation, I was like, I don't have the hardware for that. And he's like, well, maybe we could do this or that or the other thing. And I was like, screw it, let's just do this. So I picked up this. Let me bring this over. I want to make sure I can actually, yeah, I want to see this. This is an XFX as you. Ooh, man, I need to fix that. Oh, maybe I don't. Is that right? Whew, it's upside down. I need to fix that. Um, yeah, I really do need to fix that. That is totally wrong. Give me a second here, because that's going to drive me nuts. That's going to be really difficult for me to. Is that right? Are we? Okay, there we go. So GPU. Does it say here? This is an XFX Speeder Swift 210 Radeon RX 7600 XT with 16 gigs of VRAM. This is going to go in an upcoming project that I'm actually pretty excited about. I got a pretty good deal on this. I haven't had a chance to test it. I need to do that still. But it's super clean. The seller that I got it from on eBay had good ratings, so I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to go. I still need to test it. Like, it just showed up 5 minutes before I started the stream. Um, so let's see. Let's come back up to here. Home Assistant consumes a lot of time, but I love it. Yeah, Home Assistant consumed a lot of time for me initially, and now more or less it just does what I need it to do when I need it to do it. Playlists have 2 UPSs and a Jackery. I would love to get a Jackery for an extra level of protection. Alexia says an XFX GPU. I have one of those too. Nice beast. Yeah, I'm pretty that can play the heck out of some Crisis. I have the 7900 XT. Yeah, I think this is the 76. Yeah, this is the 7600 XT, but it should do fine for what I need to do. It is big. It is big. 16 gigs of VRAM to run an LLM or auto tag are dumb comments, right? So this is the upcoming project is a custom Home Assistant build with AI, and I'm curious about that. Um, do you run a security camera? I'm just getting into Frigate, and I love it. I do run a security camera. I've actually got 3 currently set up. One in the house to monitor the kid when he needs to be monitored. One is a video doorbell, and the other one is actually in the backyard. All 3 of them are from Unify, so I use the Unify app for all of that. Um, Cheyenne, we actually just covered everything that I use for the most part. You'll want to scroll back about 20 minutes. We did talk about that for a bit. I do also have a video coming up that I'm planning on making here probably in the next week or two, where I'm going to talk about what I'm currently using and go into a little bit of depth about that. But we actually just talked about that for a little bit. So you'll need to scroll back into the video a little bit and find that segment. You'll be looking for something that looks like that in as you're scrubbing back. No worries, man. Just we already covered that. I don't want to go through it again. Um, so that's kind of, yeah. So anyway, I've got the video coming up with the new GPU. Super excited about that. The developer that reached out to me about that said it would be a couple of weeks um, before he would have the hardware for, because he still isn't mass producing these devices yet. He's kind of custom building boards for them. In fact, I think I can show you. I think I can show you. Yeah, it's this. It's this right here. Sanctuary systems power your sanctuary with local AI. And this is kind of a rendering of what that board looks like. It won't look like that when it's done. Jeff Geerling reviewed an early sample of one of these. So the one I'm getting will look more like this than what Geerling had on his. Um, but basically, the idea is with Sentinel Core. Um, where is it? Um, yeah, so it's got a custom Home Assistant pre-installed, getting started. It's seamless for beginners and DIY enthusiasts. It runs on a Compute Module 5 for Raspberry Pi. This custom Raspberry Pi features a PCI port for GPU of your choice, unlocking full power leverage to leverage large language model computation. Experience lightning fast, privacy first, local AI voice assistant with unmatched power. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. And then again, also continue to use this. I love having some AI in my home lab. So I'm excited to see how that goes. But this is more or less the device. It'll use a 24 pin from a regular PSU. It'll have a GPU slot. It'll have the Raspberry Pi 5, a couple of fan headers on it, power button, a couple of camera slots on it, the full GPIO pinout, as well as a hat pinout for other features. It'll have a real-time clock battery, and some input and output. So this I should be getting this in the next few weeks, and there'll definitely be some content about that as well. And that's what this GPU is for. Have I looked at the G6 Instant? I don't. Hold on. Let me see, because I've got an Instant, but I don't know which one it is, if I'm being honest. I have the G4 instance in the house. I've also got an AI Pro in the backyard, and I think the G4 doorbell on the front of the house, and they all work really, really well. Nice to see AI interacting with your home lab. Yeah, I've made a couple of videos about getting Ollama integrated, and kind of some of the struggles that I had that were kind of fun. but yeah, I'm excited to get a hold of this sanctuary systems setup, just so that I can do some more AI stuff. Um, I'm kind of curious about how it's going to work. I don't know anything about it beyond what I've been told. Um, but let's see. Andreas says a setup including a GPU, a Pi, a CM5, as well as the carrier board would cost almost as much as the Mac Mini, which you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. But again, the thing about this is I'm not trying to say, here's the solution you have to use. Here's the solution that I think you should use. I think you should use whichever solution works best for you, whichever solution makes the most sense for you. I'm only, look, a lot of the stuff that I cover on here, like from a hardware perspective, I only cover because it's sent to me, if I'm being completely honest. Um, and I don't mean that to be a dick. I mean that if somebody wasn't sending me this sanctuary systems setup, go, 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 go. There you go. If somebody wasn't sending it to me, it wouldn't make sense for me. It wouldn't make sense for me to use it either. Buddy, just leave it. Go, go. Thank you. If it like because my setup works perfectly fine. So a lot of the hardware I get, I do my video on it, and very often it goes back in the box, and or I repurpose it for something else. I don't know if I'm going to continue to use the sanctuary systems setup and the GPU once the video is over, because I haven't had a chance to test it yet. So a lot of what I do is for the sake of testing. It's because I had turned around. This is a very directional mic. So if I'm over here, you're not going to hear me as well as if I'm over here. I'm using a shotgun mic for this. So if I'm talking over there or over there, you may not hear me as well. So yeah. But anyway, my point is that I'm in a very fortunate position to be able to review a lot of this stuff. I'm in a fortunate position where people are interested on my opinion on things, the way I present things, the way I demonstrate things, and as a result of that, companies, developers, organizations, whatever nomenclature you want to use there, they reach out to me to have me share my experience with their product or service with the people who are interested in my take on that product or service. Not everything is going to be cost effective. Some of it's going to be flat out ridiculous. Like, case in point, that HL15 back there, completely ridiculous. I don't need that. I don't. But they reached out to me to see if I was interested in checking it out and sharing my experiences with it with you guys. Like, the way they kitted that out when they sent it to me had a price tag of $6,000. And that's absurd. I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for people watching my content and engaging with my content and that sort of thing. Companies wouldn't be reaching out to me to have me share my experience if you guys weren't interested in my opinion on things. So some of the stuff that I do on here is ridiculous. Go ahead. And doesn't make sense. Um, and I think that's fun. Like, obviously I'm nowhere near like Linus and his $1 million PC or server setup. I don't want that. Uh, I like yes, this would end up being a $500 home assistant, but I don't know how far I can take it yet. It might absolutely be worth every penny of $500, but I don't know yet. So again, I'm in kind of a fun position where I get the opportunity to check out a lot of this stuff and share my experience and maybe help other people make an informed decision on whether or not it makes sense for them. Oh my God. Oh, we're going in now. All right. Fair enough. Let's see. Pixstay. Um, says some products you have to refuse too. I think it's important to be yourself, stay yourself, and recommend. Yeah, here's the thing. I've had 3 different companies reach out to me about swimming pool cleaning robots. And one of them I was really, really interested in because I could attach it to Home Assistant. And then I read more about them, and their product reviews weren't great. Their customer service reviews weren't great. So I declined it. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought about how it didn't make sense for me talking about what I talk about to then talk about pool robots, unless I could find a way to integrate it into my home lab. That first one that integrated into Home Assistant, that was going to be the stick. That's how I was going to tie in, hey, I made my pool smarter by using Home Assistant. Um, but when I realized that the product and the customer service lacked a bunch, it didn't make sense. Um, and I have people reach out to me for all kinds of different things that I would love to review, but it doesn't make. Let me rephrase that. There companies reach out to me for products that I would love to have, that I would love to use in my day-to-day life, but it doesn't make sense on this channel. And as much as I've thought about creating another channel just to create those types of reviews, those companies are reaching out to me because of the reach that this channel has. So in order for me to get to that point, I would then have to start reviewing all kinds of other products. And that's how I started this channel. That's how I segued from, reviewing just the most inane little trinkets that don't amount to anything in the grand scheme of things to finally getting into where we are now. I started by reviewing products from just anybody that would send me anything, and eventually built an audience and transitioned this direction. Um, so I turned down a ton of stuff, even though it's stuff that I would love to have because it doesn't make sense on this channel. Um, um, Dude, and the amount of AI stuff, I get multiple AI review requests almost every day. Um, but it's all like hosted on their servers, hosted out there in the cloud, not in the direct control of your home lab. And I turn them down because that's not what you guys are here for. Like, some of it looks really good, but I don't know how they trained their data. I don't know how they trained their models. I don't know how they did. I don't know where they acquired their training data, right? So I take a kind of a moral, ethical, whatever stand against that to a certain degree. I'm not going to promote the theft of other people's work, right? I hope that makes sense. Um, if it was a situation where I knew that the training data that they were using had been purchased from the artist or licensed from the artists, if they could prove that to me, I would take a different approach. But so much of the training data that's out there is just being siphoned from every facet of the internet that I don't feel good about trying to then promote that product or that service that's then basically stealing stuff that's on the internet. Yeah. See, I understand why a bunch of YouTubers recommend almost anything because of the money they get offered to promote their product, but it's kind of a business. Yeah. Um, and that's an issue that I've had. Like, I could potentially be doing a lot more revenue my through my channel, but I can't. I don't want to be disingenuous to what you guys expect from me. You guys expect for me to talk about, self-hosting and home servers and applications and home server hardware and mini PCs and that in the stuff in that area. And if I were to just come in one day and be like, hey, check out this new thing where you can go pay $20 a month and generate realistic AI videos to use and trick your friends into believing that you had a date with some celebrity, right? I could do that, but that would be kind of a dick move because that's not what you guys are here for. So, um, so, so because I don't want to be disingenuous to what you guys expect from me, I turn down a lot. And I'm not trying to say, well, it's your fault I'm not making more money. It's because I want to stay true to who I am and not just make this a cash grab. Because if I do that, you guys will leave in droves, and you would be absolutely within your right to do that because that's not why you're here. So that's why I turn down so much stuff, is because it doesn't fit what we do here on the channel. Um, right. Hey guys, today I'm reviewing this awesome new strike drone that I was sent by Palantir. It only costs $15 million on the market, right? Raid show, dude. I get so many um emails from Twitch about the option to add those types of integrations into my Twitch stream. I do, and I don't, obviously I don't do them. Yeah, AI products are popping up like mushrooms in the forest. It's true. It's also about the trust you build up, and I think at the end you have more success in the long run being precise on what you support and what you don't. That's true. Um, let's see, but then the question becomes what AI even is. I guess it's why AI laundry machines can exist, right? So there's AI. The AI that we currently have isn't true artificial intelligence. It is. It isn't thinking for itself. It isn't rationalizing for itself in the way that versus AGI. Um, so yeah, AI is limited to specific tasks and unable to transfer knowledge between domains. It can process vast amounts of data quickly, but lacks true understanding. Example includes chatbots, recommendation systems, and facial recognition. AGI, or artificial general intelligence, would match human level capabilities in learning, reasoning, and problem solving. We are not at AGI levels yet. Right now, we have large language models that are just regurgitating the data that they were given. They may word it differently based on multiple points of data, but it's not learning anything. It's not rationalizing anything. It is just regurgitating the information it was told to regurgitate in the way it was told to regurgitate it. When we get to a point where AGI, or that artificial general intelligence, becomes more mainstream, we're not generating anything new. We're not creating anything truly new. We're not thinking in new ways. We're just taking existing data and spitting it out differently. Um, and that's the other thing, right? Like we we've got AI now that writes poetry and creates images and does the stuff that people should be doing, right? Like if we wanted to use AI or AGI in a more effective way, it would create it would be in such a way that it could take over jobs, right? In such a way that actually made sense, that it could rationalize in different ways to make people obsolete in their jobs, thus affording the people who can't, or they're no longer doing those jobs, to do more creative things, whether that's crunching numbers in different ways, whether that's writing poetry or songs or creating art. We've got AI creating art and poetry while people are still, hammering nails, while people are still, flipping burgers, while people are still doing the things that AI should be doing to offload the work of what humans are currently doing. And I know that that's a dystopian way of looking at things, but right now we're using AI to write poetry and not using AI as much to take the workload off of the people. And I know that if we get to that point where AI is doing the work, then how are the people going to earn money? And that, of course, is always the long-term question about moving forward with technology. It used to be that every hammer and weld and every screw and everything that was ever created on or built on a car was done by hand. And now there are entire plants that are just robot arms doing things with a minimal, like a skeleton crew of people just making sure that everything goes correctly. So those people have lost their jobs of what they would have done building cars, as an example. There's still a very small crew of people that are monitoring that process, but fewer people that are actually going in and doing the welding, doing the painting, doing the all of that stuff. And we're still headed that direction. But until we actually get into a point of AGI, that artificial general intelligence, where we're not actually doing anything new. So at least that's my take on it. So I don't know. I'll have to we'll all have to kind of see where it goes. Um, yeah, like Pixta says here, so true. It has nothing to do with intelligence as you think about the world intelligence. Any form of information / data is being used, and AI can math 1 + 1 = 2. That's basically it. It's just regurgitating the training data that it was given. Like you could fill it full of misinformation. You could create a misinformation large language model they would only regurgitate stuff that is easily disprovable. And you could do that. You could create any kind of language model you wanted that would regurgitate whatever you told it to regurgitate. Um, and that's unfortunate. You know, and it's we're obviously working our way past that slowly, but I think it's still going to be a while before we're there. Um, Colin says he would much rather offload that laundry folding. Yeah, that's fair. I've actually seen laundry machines that can. Um, let's see, laundry. It's a dryer, I think. Dryer that folds clothes. Yeah. So there's a video. I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get dinged here. But like in 2017, Samsung's Flex Dry folds two clothes dryers into one. What? I saw a thing a while back that where it will actually like dry and fold your clothes, or maybe you can put clothes in and it will fold them as well. But there are machines that will fold your laundry. Just saying. I can only imagine. Oh, that's a folding rack. I can only imagine how expensive they would be, and what a pain they would be to integrate into your home, though. So it might have been LG that did that. I don't remember. Um, let's see. I've got non-wrinkle shirts and I'm totally sold now on the idea. Who needs to fold them? Yeah, that's fair. Something to discuss with the wife. I'll have to write up a proper business case and see where I can go with that. Flex dryer, just a washing and dryer into one. That's what, as I was reading that, that's kind of what I was getting from it. Folding my laundry is when I have time to listen to podcasts. Oh, there you go. I don't hate that. That's not a bad idea. I've actually got a book I need to listen to, based on what my shrink person was telling me. But yeah, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. That has been historically because of my inability to stay focused on any one thing for too long. But now that that's slowed down a little bit, it may be an easier thing for me to do, now that I've got the ability to do that a little bit better. I don't know. I have to see what happens. I'm reading again a little bit, which I haven't been able to do in like 10 years. So that's actually been kind of cool. Let's see. Flameberg says, speaking of, are you using Audio Bookshelf? I'm not. I think I made a video about it once. I'm pretty sure I made a video about it. Book. Yeah, Audio Bookshelf. I released a video back in September of 2022. And that video did 43,000 views. I'll be damned. So here's the problem with that kind of media, though. I am not the only person to have experienced this, obviously. Jeff Geerling got a community guideline strike the other day because of a video he uploaded a couple of years ago, about. Did it get brought back? Oh, he did. Nope, stop. So he replaced his Apple TV with a Raspberry Pi, and didn't show how to acquire media. He didn't show how to set up Plex or anything like that, and got hit with a community guideline strike for dangerous or harmful content. Content that describes how to get unauthorized or free access to audio or audiovisual content, software, subscription services, or games that usually require payment isn't allowed on YouTube. And he says he never described any of that stuff, only how to self-host your own media library. And apparently, he only got it back because he had to make a huge fuss about it online. And I just don't want to risk it. Like, I'm genuinely surprised based on that like my Plex videos haven't been hit, because he had a Plex video get hit, or somebody did. somebody a while back had a Plex video get hit that was just like, here's how to install Plex. And it didn't talk about anything else other than here's how to install Plex, and got their video taken down. Same thing here. Like, he's just like, here's how I replaced, one service with another. And he wasn't showing anything. And I can't, I have to be so careful in the things that I choose to cover on this channel as a direct result of that. I could, and I have moved some of that content over to Patreon. Unfortunately, I've also got Odyssey available. Oops, Odyssey, DB Tech. I don't know. Yeah, there's the one. Oh, that's just that. Oh, there, maybe. Man, hold on. DB Tech, that's me right there. So I've got this that I haven't touched in like 7 months, because it was just so much more to deal with. But I've got stuff on this platform that I don't have on other platforms, because they don't. Oh, you couldn't even see that. Good. So if you go to Odyssey, just search for me, and you can find me there. And I've got stuff on there that I can't have on YouTube. Yeah, dangerous and harmful to who? Google. If anything, it was dangerous or harmful to Apple. Uh, um, but yeah, no, Flimberg, you're right. It's really sad that it happened with this video. Yeah, it's happened. It happens to us all the time, and it sucks. Um, I remember the days of the internet when no one cared about this stuff, right? Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Would you use paperless with Papra together for document organization? Absolutely not. Um, because they both move documents. Like they ingest them and they move them. So it would be a disaster, I think, to try to use both. I think that would be a really, really bad idea. Yeah, I don't think that would work very well at all. Yeah, it would create confusion. Yep. Who owns that document? Well, yeah, I don't really how you'd work, because you'd effectively have to ingest it with one, and figure out where it ingested those, or where it moved those files to, and then set up the other app to pick that as the ingestion file, which would then move it to a different place. You'd be chasing your files all over your server. Yeah, pick one that has the features that you need and go with that, I think, is the takeaway from that. But yeah, I hope that answers your question a little bit. Man, all right, let's see. I'm looking for OneDrive and Google Drive alternatives, and OwnCloud looks to be fair. Oh yeah, I'm not a big fan of the OwnCloud Nextcloud derivatives, but it works for a lot of people, so I can't say I can't tell you how to do that. Got to take full advantage of that LAN bandwidth, right? Yeah. So I think, man, I think this is going to be a good spot to start wrapping things up. We've been at it for about 2.5 hours, which I love. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today for as long as you have. I've really, really appreciated that. That said, um, I had some. Oh yeah. So again, thank you guys seriously for hanging out with me today. I've really had a good time. Thank you to Quarantin. He's like, it's like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night his time. He's over in France. So thank you to Quarantin for very much. So if you guys want to check it out, again, check the video description. This will be a VOD when it's done doing its thing on the back end, here on YouTube and on Twitch. I always leave those up so that you can check those out later. Go check out Papra. Again, links should be available all over the place for you to do that. Go give it a star if you want to check that out. And if you've got suggestions or whatever, definitely leave some feature requests over there on the old GitHub. But thank you to everyone. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with me here today as we took a look through that and I rambled a bit about all sorts of different things as I tend to do here on the channel. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend and I'll chat with you here again real soon. Hopefully middle of the week. And then of course, next Saturday as well. So have a great weekend and we'll talk to you soon.